right, guys. Gonna try take two on this one. I just tried a video here a minute ago, and the stream would not cooperate. Thanks, Google Plus. You're amazing. So what's going on, guys? It's been forever since I've come on here and talked some Tigers with you guys. I mean, it's been a really long time, and I do apologize. There has been plenty of moves that have gone down since the last time I made a video on here, which we will discuss here momentarily. So I do want to apologize, for not talking about some of these videos, breaking down some of these moves and whatnot. So let's get right on into it. Obviously, the biggest thing that just went down a couple days ago, Max Scherzer, actually yesterday, Max Scherzer agreed to a 7-year, $210 million contract with the Washington Nationals, which was absolutely crazy and chalked me up as a liar. I had no faith whatsoever in Scott Boras that he was going to get Max Scherzer over $200 million. First off, he's not worth second best pitcher in baseball kind of money. He's not even close to the caliber of pitcher Clayton Kershaw is. I'm sorry, you can go look at the statistics. It's not even close. But Scott Boras, man, he just proves it again. He got his client the big payday. And how this contract is structured is actually really weird. It's kind of smart for the Nationals in the long run. Basically what it is Scherzer is going to get like one something for the first 7 years of that contract, and then the last 7 years he's going to get the rest of it. So for the first 7 years he's going to be getting a 15 average. For the whole contract it's going to be $15 million AAV, annual average value. But how they did it was, is not to take the $30 million a year cap hit that Scherzer would have cost them at $210 million at 7 years. He's going to be getting money even after he's not even pitching for the Nationals anymore. Kind of like what the Mets did with Bobby Bonilla, but they're still paying on to this day for I think like another 6-7 years. So Max Scherzer's 45, a guy that's going to be well retired by then. The dude's going to be sitting at home like me right now, not making YouTube videos, obviously, but making $15 million. Now, the Nationals obviously did this, like I said, to take less of a cap hit. And that way their roster's a bit more flexible. Because, I mean, you got Jason Worth with a big contract. Obviously, got guys like Doug Fister and Jordan Zimmerman are free agents to be and whatnot. So you got to want to lock up your money in other spots as well. Not just one guy almost what is it, almost an eighth of your contract money, $30 million out of the $180 million that you're allowed for luxury tax, which is really nuts. But Max Scherzer, I'm just really glad that the Tigers did not go out and drop all this money at him. When he turned down 6 and 144, honestly, let's go back for a minute. When the Tigers offered Max Scherzer 6 and 144, there's one sole reason why he did not take this. If you look back at the pitchers that got paid that last season, Masahiro Tanaka signed with the Yankees before Max Scherzer declined to 6 and 144 from the Tigers. Now, here's the thing. King Felix got, 175? CC Sabathia got extended again when he wasn't even, worth the money that they extended him for. He wasn't even worth the money they were paying him then, but they extended him again. And Justin Verlander got the second, at the time, the richest contract for a pitcher baseball, but he had the second richest. So Scherzer's looking at all these guys like, look, I'm the 2013 Cy Young winner. Masahiro Tanaka is yet to throw a pitch in the big leagues. And he got, like 6? After the posting fee, it was close to what King Felix got. So if you're Scherzer, like, I'm going to get more than what Tanaka got. He had never thrown a pitch, and I'm the reigning Cy Young winner. Screw 6 and 144. Now, I think if Tanaka did not get posted last year, because I remember there was a lot of things, they're not going to put him up. Japan's not going to let him, talk to any teams because it was a whole new posting fee BS and all that crap. But they ended up doing it, obviously. I honestly think if Tanaka did not come over last year, that Scherzer would be a Tiger. He'd be going into his first year of his new contract. But to get $66 million more than what the Tigers offered him is nuts. It's absolutely egregious. And I am so happy the Tigers did not go out and give him another $200 million contract. Look what happens the last time you signed a guy to a $200 million contract. If you look at he was there 2 years. You ate $30 million of that, pretty much a year plus some, just to get rid of him. So the Rangers have to take on the rest of that money, and then got Kinsler for him. You did all that just to get rid of that contract. Now you got Verlander, who's going to be making what, 26, 27 million per. Miggy, who's going to be right up there with Verlander. V-Mart's a guy close to 20 annual average value. Sanchez is a guy that's is $15 million per year. I mean, you got a lot of big contracts right there. The Tigers have tried really hard not to go over the luxury tax, but they're going to have to end up paying it this year, and they're going to have to pay it next year, based on what contracts are on the books. To add another $30 million bucks. And you see Max Scherzer, he's already on the wrong side of 30. Guess what happened the last time you did that with a pitcher that was on the wrong side of 30? Justin Verlander. He hasn't done anything in 2 years. Now, mind you, I think was a bit better than people give him credit for. Threes, yeah, the Ks were down, the walks up a little bit, fine, whatever, I'll give you that. This year was absolutely egregious. He was terrible. I mean, the walks are up, the strikeouts are down. I mean, his secondary stuff just wasn't the same. His fastball velocity is just bleh. I mean, he's inconsistent from, start to start. I mean, he was terrible this year. So you want to give a guy another strikeout calendar, led the American League in strikeouts 3 times in 5 years going into his year they extended him. You want to give a guy, and Max Scherzer, clear strikeout pitcher, has all this good secondary. Now I'm listening to stuff on MLB Network. These guys are like, well, Mac, Joel Sherman's like, Max Scherzer, that's how his New York ass sitting there going, I think he already reinvented himself. He's got a slider and a changeup and a curveball. You know something? Guess what, guys? Justin Verlander in his peak was a better pitcher than Max Scherzer in his peak. I'm sorry. 28, 27, 28, 29. Justin Verlander was a better pitcher. That prime window right there is better than what Max Scherzer posted the last 2 years. It just was. I'm sorry. Go look at the statistics. And all we heard, I said it. I was guilty of it. Go watch my Justin Verlander contract extension video. It's still up here. I'm like, something? He's got good secondary stuff. He's going to be able to pitch when he loses something off his fastball. He's got good command. So it's okay. This power pitcher guy strikes out a lot. It's okay. It's all good. Once he starts losing some of that stuff in a couple years down the line, he's going to be all right because he's a guy that knows how to pitch. Guess what? He lost some of that velo off the fastball. Curveball ain't good anymore. That changeup, not as good anymore. He can't throw it for strikes like he used to. That slide piece, not nearly as good as it used to be. That curveball just gets crushed now. It's a loop. It's not nearly the tight breaking ball it used to be. It's more of a it's not a lollipop curveball, but you see flashes of the old Davies curveball, but then you see those ones that are just hangers. That he's just trying to get me in there, get me over strikes, and he leaves up and they hang and they get crushed. And that fastball, since he lost a couple of miles an hour on that velo, not even the same. The command isn't as good. He leaves his pitchers over the heart of plate a lot more. He's not nearly as effective against left-handers as he used to be. And right-handers, too, had Verlander really good this year as well. I mean, everyone did. He was terrible this year. But you look at the makeups and stuff. And Max Scherzer's a guy, he's a max-effort pitcher. You're telling me this guy in 7 years already going to be 31? A guy that's a strikeout power pitcher? With that kind of mechanics, his arm is going to have 7 years of sustainability of throwing 95, 96, 97 on that arm. BS. He already started losing fastball velocity. Look at last year. From his Cy Young year to last year, he already lost a mile an hour off the fastball. So that's already a troubling sign. Now he's going to go to the National League and whatnot. Yeah, it's going to cover him up a little bit. He's got the pitcher to face now. So now you're not going to have to worry about, when guys sign big contracts, look at John Lester and Scherzer. They're smart. They went to the National League because you can fake being a bit better in the National League because you got an easier out and it's easier lineups. And then most lineups aren't nearly as deep as AL lineups. But you can, when you're a pitcher, you want to go over there so you can stay better longer. When you got pitchers coming over from the National League to the American League that sign big contracts, that are close to Scherzer's age, that's not usually a good sign. Because as they decline, they become fraudulent real quick. Their true colors shine when they can't get around, the lineup because they don't got that easy out like the National League does. So, with these people saying, Max Scherzer's all right, he's going to reinvent himself, he's got the secondary stuff. I'm not going to take away from Max Scherzer. This man, I loved Max Scherzer. The last 2 years, I was one of the biggest fans. I was on his bandwagon. You see the way the secondary stuff developed. You see the way his fastball command. He developed that curveball, and he was, Max Scherzer's biggest thing is he couldn't get out left-handers. Last 2 years, that man got out lefties and righties with the best of them. I mean, this guy, he was a top 5 pitcher in baseball the last 2 years. But, the command, the development of his secondary stuff, getting that curveball, he's always had an outstanding changeup, but he was really consistent with it. He could throw it for strikes, being able to throw that slider for strikes, being able to use the secondary stuff in any kind of count. That really opened up Max Scherzer's repertoire of pitches. But for a guy that, has had a lot of trouble, only had one complete game. Rick Porcello had more complete games in a 2-game span than Max Scherzer did in his whole entire career this past season. I'm sorry. For a guy that's only has one complete career game, most of the time he's a 6-inning ace, has a hard time getting into the 7th, 8th inning. you're just not worth $210 million. Look what Clayton Kershaw did. Look how many times that guy went in the 8th inning this year. You know, look how many complete games he's had over the last couple of years. Now, I know really the stat that holds as much water as they used to when guys were going 9 innings all the time. Fine, I'll give you that. But when you look at he does pitch over 200 innings, fine. But when you look at how deep he goes in the games, you know, you look at his body, his max effort mechanics. You know, you look at what already happened to Verlander. I mean, Verlander, like I said, I was guilty of it. Just like these guys are guilty of Max Scherzer. You know, he's got good secondary stuff. He knows how to pitch. He hits the corners. He hits the watch what happens once that fastball velo drops. Once you lose velo on that fastball, the secondary stuff doesn't look nearly as good, because you're not being able to blow up past guys anymore. And then you got to all reinvent yourself totally again. Look at Verlander the last 2 years. I'm telling you, this was a blessing in disguise. Now, looking at the Tigers' rotation post-Max Scherzer, it's fine. You know, you still got David Price for a year. And if I'm locking up someone, I'm locking up David Price. First off, he's a lefty. Second off, his mechanics are better. Thirdly, I think his repertoire of pitches is better. Fourthly, I think he's a better pitcher overall. I'm giving him more money. I'm locking him up long-term over Max Scherzer any day. Max Scherzer, to me, just is not a guy who's going to age well. You know, he's lucky he's never had really any shoulder problems, never kind of injuries with those kind of pitching mechanics. It does not look like something to me that when he's 34, 35 is going to have some kind of sustainability. When he starts losing fastball velocity and that secondary stuff isn't as good, and he's got those weird, how do you even throw with those mechanics? He was so inconsistent his first couple years with the Tigers. It took him 3 years just until he even learned how to pitch with that funky delivery. So you're telling me that's something sustainable? I'm sorry. So rotation post Scherzer, you got Price, you got Verlander, you got Sanchez, you got Simone, and you got Shane Green. Now, Shane Green, I just am in love with. I love this pickup. You didn't give up much to get him. He's a guy, got a lot of team control left. You pretty much, you know, replaced Porcello perfectly. He's a guy, mid-90s fastball, keeps the ball really, you know, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball, top 5 at throwing the ball on the lower half of the strike zone, which is great for a sinker baller. Great, you know, solid little cutter, wipeout slider, decent change piece that's still in development. So he's a nice piece that I think could blossom to a 3. So I really like that, you know, pushers. So I think that, you know, that's a nice piece right there. Simone, stopgap piece. Who knows what the Tigers do? I hope he has a good year this year, but I'm seeing Brad Penny written all over this guy. I remember when they got him, and he was terrible. I just, you know, with the second half struggles and a guy that doesn't miss a lot of bats, and I just don't trust Simone. I think that first half was a total fluke. I mean, this is a guy that, you know, has been a bullpen pitcher the bulk of his career. And the last time he was a starter up until this year, before this with the Phillies, he was terrible. He got absolutely shit wrecked. So, or the Orioles, I should say. So I don't trust him whatsoever. And then Sanchez, you know, Joel Sherman again, you know, saying that he's a declining Sanchez. You know, Sanchez fine. He's had his little bit of fair share of injuries. He always has that one shoulder inflammation problem every single year. It's just fine. You know you're going to get one DL stint out of Sanchez. He's going to miss 2 starts. But when this guy's healthy, he's outstanding. Now, Sanchez is another one that's he would go 4 super strong innings, and then he was terrible the rest of the game. 6th, 7th inning, the man would fall apart. He just could not handle. I don't know what it was, and which was weird because you look at that 2013 season, Sanchez, when he had the lowest ERA in the American League, that man pitched deep into a lot of ball games, had a lot of strikeouts. He had that 117 strikeout game against the Braves, which I was there. I mean, this is a guy, but I mean, you look at the stuff. Sanchez is a guy, you know, mid-90s fastball, and that secondary stuff has really taken the next step since he's putting on a Tigers uniform. I mean, he was good with the Marlins, but I don't know, man. That secondary stuff and that fastball has looked a lot better since putting on a Tigers uniform than I remember him with the Marlins. I mean, his sliders were absolutely devastating. Really good curveball. I like him too. And then you got the big, you know, question mark rotation Verlander. A lot of people are going to say, well, it was a core surgery. You know, he never really had a lot of time to rehab it. He was always playing catch-up, whatnot. You know, he missed his very first start ever last year. So who to rehab, whatnot, just back. I mean, he's never going to be the guy hit 97, 98, 99 on a consistent basis ever again. But we need a guy, Verlander, out of him that's going to come out here, give us 210 innings, have an ERA of 340 to 360, strike out 180 batters a year, and have a whip of minus 1.3. You have to have that out of him. If Verlander could come out this year, have an ERA about 350, 355, have a whip about 1.12, you know, have a strikeout rate about 8.5, lower the walks a little bit, lower the hits per 9 a little bit, I'd be plenty happy with that. Now, based on the money that he's getting, the man should have an ERA sub 3 and he should be striking on 9 hitters per 9, and the whip should be no higher than 1. So based on the money he's getting, he should be Clayton Kershaw on this shit. I mean, he's only 32. But if you can just get that out of him, I mean, just a 3.40 ERA, bring the strikeouts back up, bring it closer to 9, bring that whip back down to 1.1, 1.12, bring the strikeout to walk ratio back up to 3 or 4. That would be a godsend because you're going to be losing after losing Max Scherzer. And then David Price, I expect a nice year out of him. He's a guy, he's kind of inconsistent. He started out really slow last year with the Rays, but then he really came out and he was dominant. Absolutely dominant after the first month and a half of last season, even though he had a couple of sketch starts with the Tigers. He didn't pitch very well at Comerica Park last year. He had a hard time winning there for some reason. I don't know. Maybe that'll change, which is kind of weird too because that's usually a good pitcher's park. But, I think with the additions of Green and Simone, 2 guys, sinker baller guys, and with finally having Jose Iglesias back, along with Ian Kinsler, Nick Castellanos is going to have a whole nother offseason at the, to prep for the third base. But hopefully he can be better because he was fucking terrible last year. He was somehow worse than Miguel Cabrera at third base, which is hard. And then Miggy was actually about an average first baseman at first, so we got a nice thing there. And hopefully he can bounce back this year. I mean, he had a good year last year, but it wasn't a Miggy year. And you can't hold that against Miggy either. I mean, that's just how good he is. I mean, he's got 25 and 110, and he hits 313. You're like, oh, what's wrong with Miguel Cabrera? I mean, he's just that good. So I mean, hopefully his offense bounces back a little bit, and Victor Martinez can replicate what he did last year as well. I don't think the powers are going to be the same with him, but if he can give you 15 homers and get on base at a 380 clip and hit 325, you're good with him. 100 RBIs and whatnot. And then he got the addition of Cespedes, which I'm pumped for. I think with Cespedes and JD and Miggy and Kinsler and Iglesias back, you got a nice squad out there. And then I still like the speed you get. The defense is going to be better too with Anthony Ghost and Iglesias, and Vila is very good defensively as well. So the Tigers got some nice pieces, and I think they can still contend in this division. But that gap, the window between we're this much better than the White Sox and we're this much better than it's not. I mean, I could honestly see right now, if the White Sox were to win the division this year, I would not be surprised. With Jeff Samardzija to go along with Chris Sale and Jose Quintana, and then you got the one of the best closers in the game to finally close out some ball games, so you're not going through 9 closers. And then you got Adam LaRoche and Melky Cabrera, Adam Eaton, a full year of Avisaíl Garcia. I mean, you got a very, very – Alexi Ramirez had a good year last year too. I mean, you had a very, very, very good White Sox squad. And this is not like the Tigers of 2012 when, even if they had that squad, well, you got Prince, you got Hunter, and you got Miggy, and you got Vmart, and Pfister, and Scherzer, and Verlander, and Porcello. And then, even the back end of the bullpen wasn't bad. Valverde, he had a decent year in 2012, but you had Benoit back there to go along. I mean, you had some pieces. So, I mean, it was like even with all those guys, they were way off. Now the White Sox with Adam LaRoche and Jose Abreu and all these guys, I mean, they are neck and neck with the Tigers. I honestly think right now, if I had to pick the division winner, if I can call me a homer, I'm going to go with the Tigers just because I think their bullpen is a bit better than or not their bullpen, but their offense as a whole is better for sure than the White Sox, even Jose Abreu and Adam LaRoche and Melky Cabrera and all those guys. I think with the Cespedes, a JD, Miggy, Vmart, whatnot, they're a Kinsler. They're a better offensive squad. And I think the rotations are about evenly matched. Chris Sale is better than anyone on the Tigers. I'm the first one to admit that. Jeff Samardzija, I think, is on par with Anibal Sanchez. Verlander, obviously he's better than Jose Quintana. And then the back end of the White Sox rotation is in question. And as is the Tigers. I mean, you don't know what you get out of Simone and Green. So who knows there. So right now, though, I think the Tigers are still – you want to consider them a team to beat in the division, fine, because it's a first-year White Sox squad with all these players on there. How are they going to gel together? How are they going to play? Fine, sure, yeah. But Tiger fans, you're going to sit here and keep thinking, 4 straight division titles, whatnot. We're still the best. I'm sorry. The Tigers aren't even close to being the best team in the American League anymore, honestly. I mean, at one time it wasn't even close, and they were just underachievers based on their roster. But I'm sorry, this Tigers team, I mean, they're good, but if they were to be a wild card team this year, it wouldn't surprise me. The White Sox have gotten that much better. And then the Indians, their pitching rotation's okay. Hopefully Salazar has a bounce back year. You got the reigning Cy Young Corey Kluber, and then you got a nice squad out there. I mean, with Carlos Santana and Yan Gomes and Michael Brantley had a great year last year. So, I mean, you got some nice pieces out there, too, with them. And then they got Brandon Moss, which was a nice acquisition. And then, the Royals, I think the Royals have fallen back some. You lose James Shields, you lose Billy Butler. Can your bullpen replicate what they did last year, which pretty much got you in there? You know, they're a very inconsistent team. The Royals were a team last year where they would just win. You know, they'd go 7 of 10, or they'd go 10 of 12 4 times, and then they'd play 500 ball. You know, so they were really inconsistent anyways. They just got on one of those Royal streaks where they, you know, where they overachieved, were better than to be a better team than they actually were. But I think with the losses of those guys, who knows? I mean, I know they got some decent. I know they got Alex Rios and a couple other guys and whatnot. But I don't think, you know, with that pitching staff, can Ventura, you know, come up and be a guy that replaces Scherzer, or not Scherzer, but Shields? Who knows? And that's another thing. The Tigers have actually been rumored to link to James Shields, and I would like that. I mean, you can put Simone in the bullpen, get his ass the hell out of there. I think you could cover him up a little bit. You add 200 innings to your staff, no doubt about it. A guy that's going to give you 3.40 ERA. So I think that'd be really nice solidification, and he'd be a lot cheaper than Max Scherzer. But who knows with that one? And then last but not least, let's talk about the bullpen a little bit. The Tigers went out and got Tom Grzelcyk. They signed him. He is actually coming off a year where he came back. He only had 21 appearances. He's coming back off shoulder surgery. But in his 23 appearances, he had an 0.86 ERA. And he's a guy Penn desperately needed. This is a guy, if you look at his career against lefties and righties career 271, lefties career 231. Righties hit him with quite a bit of pop, 430 slug, 75 home runs. But lefties, 231, 301, 360 slash line against him, only 18 homers, giving up ever to his career of 240 strikeouts. But you look at his last full year, before he was hurt with the Washington Nationals, lefties and righties 245, lefties 237. This is a guy, when he was healthy, could get out left-handers and right-handers. A lefty reliever that can do this. And this pretty much means, thank God, no possibility of Phil Koch coming back. Now, I heard Phil Koch has lost 15 pounds. He's in the best shape of his life. Good. Let someone else take a risk on that guy, because I don't ever want to see him back in a Tigers uniform again. And Tom Grzelcyk, I really like the acquisition of. He's a guy who went healthy. Last time he was healthy, he pitched a full year, got out lefties and righties at a great clip. He's a guy that can get out lefties consistently, and he's done it throughout his entire career. So now you got 2 lefties. Blaine Hardy was absolutely outstanding. He was another lefty last year, got out lefties and righties at a really good clip until the end of the season when he kind of collapsed some. Well, he didn't kind of collapse. He did collapse pretty damn big. So now you got Grzelcyk, and then you got Blaine Hardy from the left side of the bullpen. Love it. Hopefully Hardy comes back and replicates what he did for last month of the season. And then in the right side of that bullpen, you got Joe Nathan, you got Joel Hanrahan, Joaquin Soria's coming back, Bruce Rendon's coming back. Al Albuquerque had a good year last year, one of the only very few persons in Tigers bullpen that can say that. So you got to expect Nathan, his numbers to come back down to earth a little bit. I mean, I know, I was reading an article on Baseball Prospectus right before the Tigers signed him, buyer beware, and they were talking about his home run to fly ball ratio, how it was unsustainable. But last year it was nuts. So hopefully it levels off a little bit. That ERA sinks back down. Nathan showed signs of brilliance a little bit, flashes result. But hopefully, he settles back down and he pitches better. I really like the way this Tigers bullpen's shaping up. And, I know I've come on here before and I've dogged Dave Dombrowski really damn hard. Like, hey, this guy didn't do enough to the bullpen. He didn't do enough to the bullpen. These guys suck. Last year when he got Jabba Chamberlain, I came on here and I dogged that move big time. But, with the addition of Grzelcyk, then you got Blaine Hardy, and then you look at the right side with Nathan and bringing back Joaquin Soria, which I really like. He's probably going to have a full year, and he's probably going to be in a situation he should be in. And I think the least for Nathan closing this year, if he comes out and starts laying turds, I think he's going to get yanked the fuck out of there, because there's no way Ausmus can put up another season what he did last year. So I think Soria, he's going to be knocking on the door, potentially being your closers. He's a good safe, a good safety blanket right there, but he's going to be in a role he should have been in anyways. In the 8th, Albuquerque was good, and then you get back Bruce Rendon, a guy who really could have, who throws that hard. And, before he got hurt, he was really learning how to throw his slider for strikes. He was really learning how to throw his changeup for strikes, so guys weren't sitting on that 103-mile-an-hour cheese. But, I mean, he's a guy with a big arm that could give you some big outs, and then the addition of Joel Hanrahan, if he can look anything like he used to with the Pirates, I mean, you're talking about a nasty bullpen, a potentially nasty bullpen, and I got to give Dave Dombrowski some credit. He has some of these moves are under the radar, and some of these moves aren't as sexy. They're has-beens, and they got some tied, some questions tied to the name. But looking at the bullpen compared to the way it was looking at coming in last year, I think it's a hell of a lot better. So I'll give Dave Dombrowski some credit. So I like the Grizzolani move. I like the way the bullpen's shaping out. Looking at the Tigers in general, I think they have a very solid team right now based on their winter acquisitions, and they're pretty much done. Back in the rotation, I have some questions. There's definitely some questions, with the bullpen still, because we're still not going to know until, a month into the season, 2 months into the season, how good it's going to be, and whatnot. And, with the way the White Sox have really improved, the Tigers, like I said, really aren't, the clear-cut dominant team in this division anymore, because the White Sox, like I said, they have just as good a shot as we do at winning this whole damn thing in this division this year. They are a very good team that you cannot take lightly. And like I said, you got the whole new year, first year squad coming together as one thing. So how do they gel? How do they play together? Whatnot? That's usually a big thing. But I think, honestly, like I said, if the Tigers lose this division, it would not surprise me. To the White Sox, it would not surprise me, because they are a good team, and the gap is definitely closed, and the Tigers' window is definitely fading and whatnot, because Miggy's getting older, Verlander's older, getting older now too. Vmar is mid-30s. So these guys, really good players. I mean, you're wasting some of their best years now. You got to do something. So. And I actually heard a thing, I forget which one, it was on MLB Network, someone saying that the Tigers should go empty the farm for Cole Hamels, because you'd have him at $492 million, which would actually be a steal compared to what James Shields is going to get. And I actually really like that. But Ruben Amaro has come out and said that he's not going to trade Cole Hamels. So let's keep a guy we're going to owe $492 million to on a team that's not going to compete for the next 4 years. Fucking smart, Ruben Amaro. Let's not trade him on a team we know is not going to be competitive, on a team we know is rebuilding. Let's keep the contract. Let's not get the prospects to build on for the future. Let's keep him. Stay shitty. Let him pitch on shitty teams for the next 4 years instead of getting prospects for him. All right. Makes sense, Ruben Amaro. So that's a whole nother thing. So overall, guys, like I said, I'm sorry. I should have came on here earlier and discussed these moves. My bad. Max Scherzer, thanks for your time here. Good riddance. I'm glad that the Nationals are going to pay you. When you're 33 and your fastball isn't the same, or you get hurt with a shoulder injury because your mechanics are shit, I'm glad the Tigers are going to be paying you. We already got enough money tied up in Verlander. Have a good one, man. Like the addition of Tom Grizzolani. I like the way the bullpen's starting to look. It's sneaky. I think it's going to be sneaky good. Whatnot. The Tigers, I think, still favorites to win it, but that gap is closing. So that's all I got for you guys today. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to be back on here soon talking some baseball. Probably with Mike, we're going to do a baseball banner here sometime soon. We're going to talk some more baseball and whatnot about the whole league and everything. Everything's going on. And we're going to have our division predictions as well here pretty soon. We're in about a month or so when spring training starts. So that's all I got for you guys today. Have a good one. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sorry for the length of it. What do you think? You going to miss Max Scherzer? You think it was a bad move so the Tigers offer him all that money? Or are you happy to see him go like I am, because they're not going to be paying all that egregious amount of cash? And do you think the Tigers are still the favorites to win it all in the AL Central? Have a good one, guys.